Hello, this is Michael Owens with Here Come the Irish, and you're watching the Two Irish Brothers Show. Go Irish.
How's it going, everyone? This is ND Sean 45 of the Two Irish Brothers Show here. Now, you guys know the routine. If you haven't done it yet, make sure and hit that subscribe tab in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And if you don't have a YouTube channel yet, create one, come back, and then hit the subscribe tab in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Also, make sure you hit either the like or dislike tab on this video. Either way, it helps with the algorithm. Now, This video is going to be a little bit different from what we normally do. Earlier today, I did a live show with a guy who goes by the screen name Mayhem Matthew. He is relatively new here on YouTube. He's a Georgia Bulldog fan. The link to his YouTube channel will be down in the description box below. He had requested that we come on and do a live show with him to talk some Notre Dame football because he didn't know much about Notre Dame and wanted to be informed and all that. But just really was to have a good time and talk about college football overall and all the stuff that's going on. Now, unfortunately, Ben was sick and I had to go solo on this one. But regardless, it was a great show. Turned out really well. I had a blast on it, and this Mayhem Matthew guy is a good dude. So make sure you go over to his channel and give him some love. So without further ado, here is that live show. Enjoy.
And we're live. And like and subscribe to the Mayhem Matthew channel. I am here with ND Sean 45. We are going to be talking about some Notre Dame football. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing all right, and just to let everyone know, it's unfortunate, but my friend and co-host Ben from the Two Irish Brothers Show, he woke up not feeling too well, so unfortunately he could not be here today.
And our thoughts and prayers go out to him. Hopefully he's feeling better. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit about Notre Dame schedule preview. We're going to preview each and every single game for the Notre Dame Irish, see how hard these games are going to be or see how easy them games are going to be. Let's get on into it right now.
Well, first off, I got to correct you. It's the Fighting Irish.
The Fighting Irish. All right. Sounds good. Y'all open up the schedule versus Ohio State, and it's at the Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. What's your thoughts?
Well, what else is there to say? I mean, to start the season off against an opponent like Ohio State, I mean, that's going to be a tough one. That one's going to be a battle. I mean, you're coming into the Horseshoe, which is a very ruckus environment. Those fans are going to be loud. They're going to bring down the hammer, make it hard for our offense to hear. And they return a very good offense from last year. And of course, really nobody's expecting us to win this game. We even have some quote fans in our own fan base that the quote unquote realists, as anybody who has watched our show over at the Two Irish Brothers, they hear me talk about this a lot. But the thing is, as good as Ohio State's offense is, they pretty much return the same defense, which struggled quite a bit at times. So this is going to be a very tough game, but I think it's a winnable game as well. And we have a lot of question marks with our team coming into this season because we've lost some key guys, and there's going to be some position battles and all that good stuff. But we do have the talent to win this game. Now, of course, I don't guarantee any wins. against any team, no matter who it is, whether it's an Ohio State or the team who's ranked 121 in the nation. But Ohio State, I do feel, is a winnable game, but it's not going to be easy.
Yes, sir. And then, I feel like Ohio State is going to be very good. They did have questions at the defensive side last year. Ohio State did hire a new defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken. So we can see what Ohio State brings to the table. I know Notre Dame is going to have a very good offensive line, which we'll talk about later in the show. But y'all go into Notre Dame week 2, home versus Marshall Herd, which to me should be a pretty easy game. Marshall, I mean, they're just straight doo-doo. What's your thoughts?
Well, one thing that I didn't realize is that this is actually the first time ever that we will be playing the Thundering Herd in football, which I can't believe we never played them once before. But then again, I guess they were a division at the time, 1AA team for the longest time, and they didn't become, FBS until basically until Randy Moss was there. So I guess I can't be too surprised at that. But we all know the history with Marshall, with the plane crash and all that stuff. So it should be a very interesting matchup from a history standpoint. But as far as the actual game itself, I'm not going to say that I'm never going to get too arrogant or too cocky, but the Marshall Thundering Herd, that's a game that I really see us having no problem winning, because there's just a complete gap in talent with both programs. I mean, we have a lot better talent than Marshall does. Not to say that Marshall has no talent at all, but you look at the difference, and overwhelmingly the favors with the Fighting Irish in this one.
Yeah, and I'll definitely agree with you on that. Let's move on to week number 3. Y'all stay at home versus Cal Golden Bears. I don't really know too much about the California Golden Bears, but I do believe that Notre Dame is in the same situation as, versus Marshall. I think Notre Dame just has an overwhelming amount of talent that is greater than the California Bears. What is your thoughts?
Well, with Cal, they've been one of those teams out in the Pac-12 for a while now that they really haven't been at the top for quite a while. They've usually been, at mid of the conference all the way down to the bottom. Now, they're a better team than Marshall, in my opinion, because, even though the Golden Bears haven't been great in the Pac-12, they're still in California. They get that California talent, even though maybe not always the top in the state of California. But they're more talented, but still, I don't see us having any trouble winning this game either.
Right, and I definitely agree with you. I was just saying that Notre Dame, in my opinion, has a greater amount of talent than California and Marshall. I do believe California is better than Marshall, but as far as Notre Dame goes, these two games should be fairly easy to take the dub.
Yeah, my confidence level in us winning both those games is pretty high.
Yes, sir, and I definitely agree with you there. Then y'all go at North Carolina Tar Heels. Last year, North Carolina was favored to be in the top 10 or, probably win the ACC, their division. This year they come in, they're looking good again. It's at North Carolina, tough environment at Kenan Memorial Stadium in Chapel Hill. What is your thoughts?
Well, this is the part of the schedule where we start to see some of the scrappy teams on the schedule. And North Carolina, I would definitely consider a scrappy team. They may not have the pizzazz like a lot of major programs in college football at the FBS level, but this could very well be a dogfight. I think North Carolina will give us some trouble, because they even gave us some trouble last year in South Bend a little bit, and it took us having to pull away in the later part of the game. And of course, the turning point was Kyron Williams having that ridiculous run. How he got out of that to score that 90-yard touchdown, I'll never know. But no, North Carolina has been on the up and up, and I don't know if they're quite ready to be making a playoff run just yet, but I think they're at the point right now. They're on the just on the outskirts of breaking into the NY6. That's how, in my opinion, how good they've become, because they've gotten quite a good chunk of talent. So my confidence level is still pretty high in winning this game, but it's not going to be easy. They're going to be scrappy, and they're going to pull out all the stops.
Right, and I definitely agree with you there. Then y'all have a bye week, the first Saturday in October. Then y'all face BYU Cougars. It's at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Give me your thoughts on that. BYU is, to me, one of them teams that can be on upset alert. This should be a great game, as far as the history goes. What's your thoughts?
Well, for starters, this game is this year's Shamrock Series. And for those of you who don't know what the Shamrock Series is, that's where, and this is going to be an oxymoron, but this is where Notre Dame has a home game on the road. They go to a neutral site. We've been to Soldier Field in Chicago. We've been down to AT&T Stadium in Dallas and a bunch of other places. But they go to a neutral site and they turn the stadium basically into what the field at Notre Dame Stadium looks like. And so this year we happen to be playing the BYU Cougars. And also, if you guys haven't seen it, you should check out Notre Dame's video that they did promoting this game, where they did a spoof of the movie The Hangover. It was pretty good. But no, Brigham Young, this is a team that has a great football tradition. They've always been tough. I mean, I remember seeing highlights from back in the day when, former Chicago Bears quarterback Jim McMahon was there. And this is a team that loves to pull out all the stops on offense. I mean, they've always been known for having a very high-powered offense. Defense hasn't exactly been bad either. But this is a team that can put up a lot of points, and any defense has to be ready for them, because this team, especially with them going to the Big 12 here pretty soon, they're only going to get better, and they're going to be a force to reckon with. So our defense is going to have to be ready for this game. And I really don't know what BYU's defense is like, but I say the same thing about our offense. And I know that's pretty basic, but I'm just saying it because I really don't know what to expect out of BYU on defense. But it's going to be a great crowd in Las Vegas. The Irish will be ready for it. Hopefully by this point in the season, any kinks they have going on the team right now, it's worked out. And it's going to be a battle like North Carolina, but it's a very winnable game, and I think it'll be scrappy. But I see us coming out on top in this one. My confidence level is mid to high in this one as well.
Right, and like you were saying about the home game thing, it's kind of the same situation that Georgia has. I know I got to throw a little bit of Georgia in there because I am a Dog fan.
Of course.
But, Georgia plays Oregon at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's kind of the same situation, and it's kind of like a home game on the road. So then y'all play Stanford at Notre Dame. To me, Stanford used to be really, really good a few years back, and then they kind of fell off. What do you see in Stanford, and can they make a run as far as, being back to that level of winning 8, 9, 10 games a year?
Well, first off, Stanford has been a rival of ours for quite a long time now. They always play us hard like a lot of our rivals do. And one thing with Stanford is they now have I don't know if he's going to be on the team this year or next year. I forget what class he's a part of, but they have Emmitt Smith's son committed to go play for them. So the talent has always been there, but some bigger talents coming back, and Stanford, they're going to give us a battle. I think it'll be one of those games where, it's close for a little while, but eventually we'll pull away at the end.
Right. And ever since the rivalry started, y'all have played them every single year except for, I believe, the 96, 97, and the 2020 season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a rival that it hasn't been going on as long as other ones, like say USC or Michigan or Boston College or whoever. But we've been playing Stanford for quite a while now on an annual basis.
Right. Then y'all face UNLV Rebels at Notre Dame. To me, this is kind of the same situation as Marshall. I think Notre Dame has an overwhelming amount of talent over the Rebels. I really don't see much competition going into this game. What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, my confidence in this one is very high to win. I can't remember if it was UNLV or if it was New Mexico State, but one of those programs, they were in a real mess. But I just can't remember if it was the Rebels or if it was New Mexico State. But no, there's not much I can say about UNLV except that I'm very confident that we'll win that game, barring something disastrous happening.
Right. Speaking of disasters, y'all face Syracuse Orange at Syracuse, the JMA Wireless Dome in Syracuse, New York. This team has given some Power 5 teams some difficulties, like Clemson. They beat Clemson a few years back. Some really good top 5, top 10 teams. Some hard games, some hard battles. What do you expect out of this game?
Well, I can tell you for starters, Syracuse has the capability to be a scrappy team. We played them last back in, I want to say it was 2018 when we had the Shamrock Series at Yankee Stadium in New York, and that was when they had a really good team, and there were people actually predicting them to upset us, but we took care of business that day. But even going back before that, we played them a couple times in the Tyrone Willingham and Charlie Weiss era, and I remember that they beat us in 2003, and this is when the program was at a really bad point. And then in 2008, they came and upset us in South Bend, and so there's a history of them getting the better of us. So even though my confidence level is pretty high in this game, this is a team that you have to be ready for, and you can't just lax just because they're not exactly a powerhouse team or have that powerhouse feel to them.
Right. And, I know before the comment section gets me, I did say Syracuse was, played some Power 5 teams really tough. I know Syracuse is a Power 5 team. I just feel like that Syracuse is one of them lower tiers of the Power 5, but they have given teams like Clemson that are always breaking the top 5, top 10 every single year, they have given them some troubles. And speaking of the Clemson Tigers, the next week is versus Clemson. This ought to be a great game versus Clemson. It's at Notre Dame. Give me your thoughts on that.
Very simple. It's just like Ohio State. This one's going to be tough. Clemson, all these teams, I give them nothing but respect. I mean, Dabo Sweeney, he's done a great job turning that program around since he's been there. I'm not saying that Clemson was ever bad or anything, but they are, as we all know, one of the top dogs in the world of college football right now. Have been for a while. They bring in the talent, and it's shown in the playoffs and in the New Year's Six bowls. So they know how to win. They know how to get it done, and we're going to be in for a dogfight that night. But even though people don't give this game much credit, but we did beat them at South Bend the last time we played them, which was in the COVID year. And I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, well, it's because they didn't have Trevor Lawrence, or they didn't have this guy or that guy." Well, yeah, I can understand how people would make that, make that observation. But like I just said, this is a team and a coach in Dabo Sweeney who knows how to recruit and have young top talent ready to go right away, because even though he kind of fell off this past season, their quarterback that that DJ Uyunglele, however you pronounce his name. I hope I didn't butcher it too bad. But that kid came in for Trevor Lawrence that night, and he just balled out. I mean, he had like 440 yards passing against us and like 3 or 4 touchdowns. I forget the exact numbers, but he played very well. And this was a true freshman at the time that Dabo had ready to go. So I can understand people not giving that game, giving us credit for that win, for beating the number 1 team at the time because of the guys they were missing. But that's the idea of college football or not just college, but at any level. You have your young guys ready to go. So.
Yeah. And I do have a question as far as this game goes. I know DJ struggled last year, and I know a lot of it had to do with the offensive line. But let's just say quarterback like Cade Klubnik comes in, maybe Dabo switches quarterbacks. Do you think Notre Dame would have a better shot at playing a quarterback like DJ that they're familiar with, or a brand new quarterback they've never seen in Cade Klubnik?
I honestly, I don't think it really matters because, despite his setback, DJ's still good. I've heard a few things about this new quarterback. What'd you say his name was?
Cade Klubnik.
Klubnik.
Yeah, he's a highly rated quarterback for the Clemson Tigers.
And he's a true freshman.
True freshman.
Okay, well, like I said, I mean, DJ Uyunglele, he was a true freshman when he played against us too. So I don't know if there's really an advantage either way. I mean, I guess the advantage would be that we've seen DJ before in game action, and this Cade, we've never seen him in game action at the college level. But like I said, with Dabo, he's going to have both guys ready to go. And
right.
So I don't really know if there's an advantage there or not.
Right, and Georgia knows a lot about true freshman quarterbacks. 2017 national title game, very upsetting. But then the very last game is versus the Navy midshipmen. Shout out to our military. Anybody that's been in the military, I salute you and thank you for your service. I feel like Navy has the potential to upset a lot of good teams, but it's at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. I don't really know if Navy can get the job done. They almost upset a team in Cincinnati last year that made the playoffs. First group of 5 team to make the playoffs last year. I don't know if Navy can get the job done here. What is your thoughts?
Well, first off, this isn't the last one. We still have 2 more games after this.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Next, I'll say we still have USC on the schedule, and
my bad.
It's all good, dude. I just thought you should know that. No big deal. But with Navy, see, here's the thing. Ben and I have been doing our show together since 2020, but I had actually been going solo myself here on YouTube since 2009. And even when I was going solo, this was the easiest game, in my opinion, to predict every single year. Navy, and this is how they've always played us tough since we started playing them back in the 20s. With the military academies, there's a weight limit, so you have to run an offense with what you have, and that in this case is the triple option. And so what that means is when Navy has the ball, there's a lot of time control. They go on like 8-9 minute drives, sometimes longer, get 4 yards at a time, and just that's how they keep the game in their possession, is when they have the ball and they do that. But the difference with us is we are, aside from Army, we are the one team that they want to beat every single year in the worst way. Now, of course, maybe things are different now since they're in a conference and they have a chance to play for, conference championship and make a pretty good bowl game. But ever since their head coach, Ken Niumatalolo, took over the Navy midshipman football team, one thing that he has done, and they even had a former quarterback confirm this, which was what was his name? Ricky Dobbs. He said in an interview once that every time Navy plays Notre Dame, since in the Niumatalolo era, there's always something in their game plan that they only use against us that they don't use against any of their other opponents. And who knows what that could be? It could be anything from a particular blocking scheme, a particular offensive package. But you go and watch the schedule, watch the highlights of Navy against other opponents, and then you watch Notre Dame. There's always something different. And they've gotten the better of us a couple of times. I mean, it was 2007. We'd beaten them for, like 45 years straight or something like that. And they finally ended it in 2007, which didn't surprise me because we had a bad team that year. But then they got a couple more wins over us in the few years that followed. So it's all due to them doing something different. Who knows what that difference is? But it's something that you will not see. You will not see them do it against any other team, just us. So Navy just based on that option, that triple option alone, is not going to be a walk in the park. And another factor too is with the triple option offense. And I've said this before and on our show, with everybody in the world of football being worried about head injuries, one thing that Navy started to do is go for the legs. Because even when we play Navy, we still come out of it usually banged up because they go for the legs. And you take out a player's legs, it's over, you know?
Right.
So do I think we'll win this game? Yeah, of course we will. But still, though, Navy, even though they're not a powerhouse, you know, like they were in the what you call it, in the like the glory days in the 20s and 30s, they're not a team to be taken lightly.
Right. Then y'all go and face Boston College. Boston College is one of them, in my opinion, dark horses of the ACC. They can slip up and accidentally get into the ACC title game. A lot of people are picking Boston College to beat a team like Clemson. It's at Notre Dame, so that could give y'all a fair advantage over Boston College. What is your thoughts, and how do you see this game kind of playing out?
Well, for starters, Ben and I are going to be going to this game, so we will be there in person to see it. The one interesting thing about this game is Boston College's quarterback, Phil Dracovic. He was with us for a little bit. He was a top quarterback recruit for us, and that's going to be one of the storylines in this game. Is him coming back to Notre Dame, because I'm pretty sure he's going to be the starting quarterback for Boston College. I could be wrong, but I mean, I'm sure there's some sour grapes on his part, because when he came to us, there was kind of a loaded quarterback room, but it was kind of a shame that he left, because at the time Brian Kelly did have the offense set up for him to take over, but you know, we had the emergence of some other guys like Brandon Wimbush and then Deshaun Kaiser. Well, no, Dracovic didn't come till later. But the bottom line is things just didn't work out that way. There was the emergence of other quarterbacks, and Dracovic wanted to play, so I can't blame him for that. But Boston College, another rivalry game where we, until the first round of conference realignment happened, played them all the time every year. And Boston College is a team that I may not hate. I mean, of course, I hate a team like Michigan because they're the biggest rivals. But believe it or not, for me, Boston College is right up in there because they've spoiled some really good seasons for us. I mean, the big one being 1993 when they snuck away and ruined our undefeated season, cost us a national championship. Which, by the way, I still think we should claim the 93 national championship, but that's a story for a whole different video. Excuse me. 2002, they did it again. In 2004, even though it wasn't really a a BCS bowl run or a BCS championship run. They got away with another one against us and beat us and cost us a chance at a better bowl game. So yeah, Boston College, they have kind of been a thorn in our side, and this is a game that I really want to win. And I think despite Phil Dracovic, their quarterback, having maybe some chip on his shoulder or some sour grapes or whatever, I like the chances of us winning this game. My confidence level is high.
All right. Then y'all face finally the last game of the schedule. Y'all face at USC. The Trojans, they bring transfer Caleb Williams at the quarterback position. They have a lot of transfer wide receivers. Pretty much basically a new team. They have a new head coach in Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley is known for, playoff berths. A lot of people are choosing USC this year in the first year of Lincoln Riley to make the playoffs, which is a little bit crazy to me. I think USC has a couple more years before that is happening. But give me your thoughts. It's at USC. What do you expect out of this game?
Well, USC, longtime rival. We've been playing them every year since the Newt Rockne era. Coming into the LA Coliseum, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. I would consider it right up there with Ohio State and Clemson. Excuse me. No, I agree with what you said. Lincoln Riley, as good of a coach as he's shown to be, and even with, I know that when you get transfers out of the transfer portal, some experienced guys, that's going to help. But I do agree with you. Lincoln Riley, as good of a coach as he is, he's still a couple years away yet from having USC back to where they used to be. And that was, in the top 10 every year, competing for major bowl bids and national championships. But it's still going to be a hard-fought game. Major rival, Thanksgiving weekend. Going to be on national TV most likely. No, it's going to be a dogfight out there. It is. But the thing is, we've had the Trojans' number for the last several years now after them having our number for the longest time. So I think we're going to come out of there with the win because we got the talent to match up.
Right. And I want to get to the comment section real quick because there's some good things that I want I want your opinion on.
Yeah.
But if you like the show, leave a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It is much appreciated. But let's get into the comment section. Shout out Slim Shady Canes. Shout out John Kelly. Shout out to Fish and Football. Thank y'all for joining today. Slim Shady says, I think Notre Dame's ceiling this year is 8-4. I don't think that's their ceiling. I think they probably could win 10 games. In my opinion, I think that's more like their ceiling. But what's your thoughts?
Well, I know everyone's going to think that I'm a homer here, and that's fine if you do, but it's just we just have, despite what we lost, we still have too much talent on this team to have a 8-win ceiling. Obviously, I'm like I said at the start of the video, Ben and I, when we do our show, we're never going to predict Notre Dame to lose because what kind of fans would we be if we did? What we do is when it gets time to start predicting and recapping games, which is once the season gets here, we predict what Notre Dame has to do to win. And look, whatever happens on that field happens. We accept it, we deal with it, and we move on. But I just think there's way too much talent to win only 8 games.
Right.
We got a young quarterback, and I think Tyler Buckner will most likely be our starting quarterback. That's just my opinion. But he's a kid that has a lot of speed with he can run the ball very well. His freshman year last year, he had some accuracy problems, but hence the word freshman. They're not all going to be superstars from the start, but we have a young quarterback that is able to be coached up and have the kinks worked out. So I just don't think it's right to just be writing us off as having a mediocre season from the start when we haven't even seen a lot of these guys in action yet.
Right. I mean, I can kind of understand because Marcus Freeman is a brand new head coach. Then y'all play teams like at Ohio State, which we already talked about these teams, but some difficult games at Ohio State, at North Carolina. You got Clemson Tigers, and then you got a team at USC. All of them are going to be pretty tough this year, so I can understand why somebody would say 8-4, but maybe Notre Dame shocks the world and wins a little bit more than just games.
And not to mention the fact too. I mean, I get it. I mean, we have a first-time head coach in Marcus Freeman. I mean, he was our defensive coordinator last season, and that's all he's ever been as a coordinator. And I understand that, being skeptical about a team when they have a new and Slim has a point. Yes, more talented teams have won less games. I get that. I've never said that hasn't happened. I just think it's kind of crazy though to write us off just because of some changes, because even teams that have had significant changes, like a head coach, a new coaching staff, losing some guys he did some wonders for us last year. He was pretty good. But Jack Cohn, who came in from the transfer portal from Wisconsin, you can't write us off just because of changes either, because teams under big changes have had a lot of success too in their first season.
Now, here's a hot take right here. Notre Dame will be better under Freeman than Brian Kelly was.
I think that's a fair statement. Now, myself personally, Brian Kelly, he was not the most likable person in the world, but I did think he was a good coach. But, it's true. He just couldn't get us over that hump. But I will give him credit for this. When he came to Notre Dame he was hired in 2009, but his first season was in 2010. He did a lot of wonders for us. I mean, now people love to complain about Brian Kelly that he did this or didn't do that and so on, but he had led us to places that we hadn't sniffed in years. I'm talking since the Lou Holtz era back in the late 80s and early 90s. Because before Brian Kelly came in, we had a mess of the combination of Bob Davie, Ty Willingham, and Charlie Weiss. Now, were we able to sniff some success when Charlie Weiss was here? Yes. But overall, it was an absolute mess. We were pretty much irrelevant. Okay, Brian Kelly, he brought us out of that. He got us back to the spotlight. He got us in these the national championship / playoff games. And did they work out? No. That's black and white right there. You can go watch the highlights and see it for yourself. But getting us back to that level, back to those kind of games, back to the number one ranking, which we did get in 2012, that's stuff that we hadn't seen in a long time. So despite not getting over the hump and winning these major bowl games or national championships, you got to give credit where credit is due. And he brought us back from the brink. He brought us back to relevancy. But Marcus Freeman, I think he has the potential to do that, to actually take us over that hump, because he's doing a lot of things that Brian Kelly didn't do. Like, for starters, and this is the absolute craziest thing I ever heard, Brian Kelly didn't exactly take advantage of the private Catholic schools in recruiting. And when you're the biggest Catholic university in all across the country, why do you not take advantage of recruiting at those schools? That's crazy part number one. Crazy part number two is Brian Kelly never went into the inner city schools. And there's a lot of talent in those schools. So it's like, why are you not going to these places to recruit kids?
Right.
Marcus Freeman is doing the opposite of that. And I think another thing too is Marcus Freeman is also more of a player's coach, and Brian Kelly, well, he really wasn't. I'm not saying he was actually a disciplinarian, but he was kind of like a whatever style coach. But Marcus Freeman, since he took over, there has been camaraderie with this team. He's bringing everybody together. He's one of those coaches that you can go and talk to if need be. I mean, in that spoof of the Hangover, he was actually in that with a couple of his players, and you can just see the camaraderie that he has with these players, and how close they are. So that's going to be a big factor coming into his first full season as a head coach.
Right. And let's move along here. Let's talk about some offensive previews for this year. My main question is, and everybody would like to know, and you said this earlier, I just want you to get a little bit more depth into it. Who's the quarterback?
My opinion, it's going to be Tyler Buchner, because he has the legs to move. He can motor. He can really run the ball. The problem that he had last year was, like I said earlier, he had accuracy issues. But those numbers don't look the sexiest. But you got to remember, Jack Cohn was the starting quarterback. But anyway, Tyler Buchner, from what we did see last year in his freshman year, those are actually good numbers for an incoming freshman, in my opinion. He was really brought in for certain situations and certain packages, but I think he will be the guy this year. I mean, I think if he's able to figure out his accuracy issues, look out. This kid can chuck the ball, and if he gets that accuracy down, he will be a force to reckon with. Now, the other quarterback that he's in competition with, Drew Pine, he's not a bad quarterback either. And the advantage that he has over Tyler Buchner is he's been at Notre Dame a little longer. He knows the playbook better. But I just think, Tyler, he has more physical attributes than what Drew Pine does. So I think it's going to be Tyler Buchner.
Right, and right here we're seeing some highlights of Tyler Buchner from last year.
Actually, 17 is Jack Cohn.
Oops, I'm sorry, my bad. I'm a mess. I think I accidentally clicked the other video. 1 second. I wanted to get some highlights from. Here we go. I wanted to get some highlights from Tyler Buchner.
Well, and something I wanted to add too with Tyler Buchner is he has, and this may sound silly, but it's actually more important than what you realize, especially in an RPO offense. But he has one of the smoothest handoffs I have ever seen.
All right, here we go. Tyler Buchner. Here's some highlights of Tyler Buchner. As I watch this, and you see that he has really strong legs. He can get out the pocket whenever he's, I guess, being pressured. Good throwing abilities. But my question is, in high school, I read that he had an injury in high school, sophomore year, and then he had an injury before the Navy and gold game, or blue and gold game, whatever it's called.
Yeah. It wasn't anything. It wasn't serious. He just slipped on some stairs, and the Freeman and staff, they didn't want to risk any further injury with him or aggravating it. Which
right.
I can understand. Of course, the only thing people could focus on was laughing at how he got hurt. And I'm like, why is that funny? He's not the only one that slipped on steps before.
Right. So we see Tyler Buchner. What do you think about Drew Payne? Give me your thoughts.
Drew Pine. He came in last year and did pretty well for us when Jack Cohn was struggling. Because the thing is with Jack Cohn last year is he really couldn't scramble that much. And also because of the fact that our offensive line, which I know we'll get to later, our offensive line was didn't really get fully set until halfway through the season. And of course, in that game against Cincinnati, it finally came and bit us in the behind, and we ended up losing that game. But what was nice is when the offensive line wasn't set, Drew Pine, he did have the scrambling ability to get out and make some things happen. So he's not a bad quarterback, but kind of like what I was saying about Pine earlier with his throwing accuracy. Drew Pine is kind of an inconsistent. I mean, he can be really good at one moment. I hate it when I can't talk. He can be very good at one moment, but then very bad the next. But but what he had was the ability to run his way out of trouble.
Right.
And like I said, once the O-line got set and we stopped shuffling them around, you bring Jack Cohn back in, there were no problems. The quarterbacks were very better once they had a consistent offensive line.
Right. And, quarterbacks can't be good without some wide receivers and people to throw it to. This year, y'all have some young wide receiving core. Kind of go through the wide receivers and tell me what do you expect out of the wide receivers this year? I know y'all got a couple of veterans coming back, and I think y'all have one injured veteran that I don't know if it's a severe injury or not, but with this young wide receiving core, how do you think that they're going to turn out, I guess?
Well, I think despite losing guys like Kevin Austin, who was really good for us last year, we have some really good guys coming back this year too. Our veteran receivers are going to be Avery Davis. He's coming off an injury, but he should be ready to go for Ohio State. Then you have Braden Lindsey, who's been a little consistent. I mean, he's got the speed, but he's had stone hands at times. Joe Wilkins, he's another veteran, but he's not going to be ready in time for Ohio State. But we're going to have a lot of young receivers. It's going to be their time to shine this year, along with guys like Avery Davis and Braden Lindsey. The two guys that I'm really looking forward to seeing are Lorenzo Styles, who I think is going to be the breakout wide receiver on the Irish receiving core this year. Deion Colsey, I think he'll get his time to shine finally. And I'm not saying Tobias Merriweather won't get some time or that I'm not excited about him. I'm just not sure how many reps he's going to get, as seeing as how our depth chart looks. But he's another one to look out for too. So we've got some very talented receivers that are going to shine this year. And then not to mention we have tight end Michael Mayer, who, going to be an All-American. Probably his last year with us because he'll most likely go into the NFL draft after this season. So I'm very excited about what we have. I mean, going back to our veterans, Avery Davis, if he can stay healthy, he will be a force to reckon with because he has the speed and he's made some outstanding catches, like going back to Clemson in 2020, and he just has the speed to get it done. He has great hands. Like I said with Braden Lindsey, he has the speed, but he's got to work on the stone hands, because he had some passes that went right off his hands on a perfect throw, and you can't have that. That'll kill you every single time. But I think our receiving core is going to be a lot better than what people are giving it credit for.
Yep. Then y'all have, and also a good quarterback has to have offensive line. We've seen that last year with a team like Clemson. Offensive line was terrible. DJ couldn't really get anything started. As far as Notre Dame goes, offensive line, all 5 starters from last year's bowl game versus Oklahoma State is returning. So I guess a lot of Notre Dame fans will be excited about that. The question is all 5 starters going to start?
Well, I'd like to think yes, because there has been one change. Jarrett Patterson has moved to, I think, left guard. Can't remember if it was left guard or right guard, but he's moving to one of the guard positions. And let's see, I think we're looking at Zeke Correll at center. Jarrett Patterson will be at one of the guard spots. Let's see. Joe Alt. Joe Alt will be at tackle. Josh Lugg will be at the other guard spot. And, oh, man, who is our other tackle that I'm –
I mean, I just feel like the offensive line is just going to be very good for Notre Dame.
Michael Carmody and Blake Fisher, those guys will likely be at the tackle spots. So,
right.
Yeah, we've got some guys, and the thing is, too, the majority of these offensive linemen, they're all, like I was telling you before we started the show, 300 pounds plus, and they're able to move. So, and you got a full season of experience in, so now we shouldn't have to be shuffling around a whole lot. Like, the only time we should see guys, quote unquote, shuffling is when others need a break, and guys can come in and rotate in for them.
Right, and I think a key player of y'all's offensive line is going to be Josh Lugg. Yes. Give me your thoughts on that, and give me your takes.
He was one of the most consistent guys on that line last year. He's a veteran coming back as a fifth-year senior. He has the quickness out there. He can do the tricky things that an offensive lineman has to do, like pull or run to the outside, make a block out there, which is not easy to do. Anyone who's played offensive line like I have back in high school, it's not as easy as it might look, especially when you're having all this weight on you and you have to be really quick. And no, he is going to be the centerpiece. Not just him, but him and Jarrett Patterson. Those guys are going to be the key for our offensive line.
Right. And we're going to head into the defensive preview. Just tell me overall, how do you think the defense is going to do? Now, y'all have a mixture of young and veteran talent. Who do you think are going to be the key players in defense, and who's going to need to step up to the plate this coming year?
Oh, our standout guy on the defensive line, specifically defensive end, Isaiah Foskey. Fantastic season last year. He is just an explosive edge rusher. Get to the quarterback, gets in so fast you don't even see him until you're on the ground. But I think another key thing too is we actually have brothers starting at the tackle spots. How do you pronounce them? The Adamiola brothers. I'm not sure if they're twins, but let me see if I can. Yeah, Adamiolas. Jason and Justin Adamiolas. And actually, I forgot we're going to a 3-4. So Justin Adamiola, he's going to be the other edge rusher, and Jason's going to be the nose tackle. But I think the biggest key thing too on defense, aside from the defensive line where you got the chemistry with the two brothers and then Isaiah Foskey, who's your veteran leader, I would also look out for our defensive backfield because there were a lot of question marks coming into last season, but you had guys like Tariq Bracy and Cam Hart really step up at the corner spots. I think Houston Griffith is coming back for another year. And then we got Brandon Joseph, the transfer from Northwestern, who was already being put on preseason award lists. So I think we're going to be very, very good back there. And then with the linebackers, like, losing Shane Simon, who transferred to Pitt, that kind of hurt. But you still got guys like Jack Kaiser and J.D. Bertrand, who, they're underrated, man. They're ballers. Our defense was really good last year, and I don't see that being any different this year. Right.
And I just want to say we have 5 people watching. I really appreciate every single person that is watching. If like I said before, if you like the show, please leave a like, and you haven't already, please subscribe. It'll help me in this channel out. I want to move on to a question that everybody is speculating. Everybody has been talking about conference realignment. That is a big topic in the offseason, especially with Notre Dame. My question will be, will Notre Dame stay independent? I know they got offered, like $75 million from the Peacock channel. What's your thoughts?
Well, Man, I tell you, I don't know what's going to happen with college realignment. It seems like there's a different story every day. It's hard to keep up with because who knows what's going to happen. The only thing I know right now is the latest is, as we all know, UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten. But after that, it's all speculation. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But no, what's actually happening is NBC and Notre Dame are renegotiating because NBC's been showing Notre Dame home games since like 1991 or something like that, somewhere around there. And Notre Dame has been making $15 million a year off that contract. And, well, obviously with conference realignment and all these conferences getting their own TV deals where they're making like 80 to 100 million bucks per team, obviously Notre Dame wants that, but they want it on their terms. And so they're renegotiating with NBC on their deal to make 75 million bucks a year. But what it sounds like is for that to happen, NBC wants them to, for lack of a better term, partner with another conference and be able to show that conference's games on their network, because they want to show more college football than just Notre Dame. And one of the biggest rumors I've heard is the Big 12 could be one of those options. So you could see the Big 12 being shown on NBC possibly, but nothing's been finalized. Nothing's been official, just all talk at this point. So who knows what's going to happen. Now, do I think Notre Dame will stay independent forever? That depends on a couple of different factors. One, what happens with the rest of college football? Where do all these teams end up going? I mean, because it's pretty much safe to say the Pac-12 is in trouble. That conference is likely going to fall apart. But then again, never guarantee anything. Because we thought the Big 12 was dead, but it looks like they're going to be able to, rise from the ashes and stay afloat. So we got to wait and see what happens with that. And then also, if they ever do expand the playoffs, and if they go with that format of only the top four conference champions or the top four ranked conference champions get a first round bye, that could be a big factor as well. So if that happens, yeah, I could see Notre Dame joining the conference. And, people have always asked Ben and myself, won't you guys be disappointed? Well, independence has been a part of our tradition, but if we have to give that up and go to a conference, neither one of us are going to be upset about it.
Right. And, I mean, I don't know. A lot of Notre Dame fans want Notre Dame to stay independent, and I guess that's why this is just speculation here, the $75 million thing. Maybe that's why they're trying to help Notre Dame stay independent. I think Notre Dame wants to stay independent too, because, they came out and said, we're not making any quick decisions. You heard some talk about them possibly joining the Big Ten, possibly joining the ACC. I don't know. It's just going to be something to see in the near future. I don't think it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen 2025, 2026, somewhere.
Well, the way things are set up right now, we have this partnership with the ACC where all our other teams are members of the ACC and we're not, but we play 5 ACC teams a year. And the contract as it stands right now is if we join a conference before 2036, it has to be the ACC. But like we both know, there's so many things that could change.
Right. And I've also heard, now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just speculating. I heard something that Notre Dame could sign that $75 million contract with Peacock and still join the ACC. Give me kind of your thoughts on that. Have you heard that? Do you think that's fake news?
Well, nothing surprises me anymore. I'm not trying to sound cocky or arrogant, but just all of us college football fans know that Notre Dame is a big brand. One of the most recognizable brands in all of college football, along with all the others like Georgia, like Alabama, like Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, USC, so on. But I don't know what they would do. If they did something where Notre Dame got to keep the NBC contract for their home games, and then a conference was able to bring them in and show them on like ESPN, ABC, whatever, it wouldn't surprise me if they let Notre Dame do that.
Right. And John Kelly has a question. Mayhem, does your guest have any thoughts on the Natty game 1988 with West Virginia?
Well, I was on the verge of turning 3 years old when that game happened. And I actually went back and watched the game, and I got to give Major Harris a lot of credit because he played hurt the whole game. And no, I think that was a really great game. Tony Rice had a phenomenal performance. Lou Holtz did a great job with the game plan, and we hit West Virginia on the ground, and thankfully we were able to come out with the championship that day. And without going into too much detail, there's a member of my family that has an '88 national championship ring, so I do have some connections to Notre Dame, not just as a fan. But I don't want to give out details because, YouTube is my thing, and I don't want anybody else's life getting affected because of me. Right.
But thank you for the question, John Kelly.
Good question.
And glad to see you in here. He also says, hold on, let me.
Oh, hopefully the Big 12 could partner.
Yeah, he said hopefully the Big 12 could partner. What's your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't mind it. I mean, if that's the conference that NBC wants, if they can strike out a deal to get the Big 12 to come with Notre Dame on this TV deal and show Big 12 on NBC, go for it.
Now, Slim Shady says, I have a comment on that game. Miami beat Notre Dame and should have been there, not Notre Dame.
No, Miami did not beat Notre Dame. We won 31-30 in the '88 season.
So
I don't know what Slim's talking about here.
I don't either. I wasn't even born during that time.
Well, unless he's referring to the Notre Dame Miami series from 30 for 30 on ESPN, because there was a play in that game where I think it was Cleveland Gary who was the ball carrier. It looked like he broke the plane, but he fumbled the ball, and the refs went with the fumble instead of calling it a touchdown. Well, maybe it could have been a touchdown, but Miami on the touchdown that they scored to tie the game, or before they went for the 2-point conversion that we stopped. If you want to go by that. That was not a touchdown. That was not a completed pass.
Right.
But no, 1988, the final score was Notre Dame 31, Miami 30. So I don't know why he's thinking that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, Slim, he probably that ref admitted that he did blow the call, but that was then. This is now.
Right. Thank you, John Kelly, for the kind words. He says, awesome show. I'm glad y'all are enjoying the show today, and I'm glad that y'all are active in the comments today. It means a lot to me. One more question before we get off here. As a Notre Dame fan, if you had to create some questions that you might have this year heading into 2022, what would they be?
Does it necessarily have to be about the team itself?
Anything Notre Dame, I guess. Yeah.
Well, there's something that I would like to address and talk to everybody about. My question is why does the Notre Dame fan base have such a cancerous element in it? And here's why I say that. You go across different message boards and Facebook pages, wherever, there is so much negativity amongst our fan base. It's ridiculous. I mean, the word that I'm starting to really hear a lot with some Notre Dame fans in this toxic, cancerous environment in that part of the fan base is the word realist. Now, here's the thing. And Matt, I actually checked out some of your videos before sitting down to do the show with you. And I know you had a video where you were talking trash about us and saying, why are you guys afraid to join a conference? And you think you're going to win an, and I know no hard feelings. I know you were just having some fun there. And if you actually believe it, that's fine too. But here's my point with that. And I'm not saying personally you here, but really with the haters, I don't really give a damn what the haters think or the non-Notre Dame fans think. But when it's people in your own fan base they say that they're a realist. Now, basically, what the word realist means, the way they say it, is that they're just a fair weather fan who has no confidence in the team. And I heard that word a lot with Notre Dame fans before the Rose Bowl against Alabama in 2020. And I'm like, why are you cheering for this team then? This is my question. If this is how you feel, why are you even cheering for this team? There's so many Irish fans that are writing off Ohio State as a loss already. Well, if you're just gonna quit on your team, go cheer for somebody else. But there's been so many problems in the Notre Dame fan base going back a long time ago. Now, I'm sure as a Georgia fan, I know you love this. In 2017, you guys came to South Bend. That stadium was half red. I mean, that is a joke for your fan base to sell out your team like that, all to what? Make a quick buck? That's pathetic. I mean, and I've heard some people say some of the dumbest things ever after that. Like, oh, well, it was a once in a lifetime experience for Georgia fans. We had to give it to them. Like, they didn't give it to us in 2019. I was down there for that game. All Georgia fans. The only place you saw Notre Dame fans were in the away section. But there's been a history of that. Number 1 Nebraska came to South Bend in 2000. Half the stadium was red. We have fans that complained when we made the playoffs in 2020, all because we were going to play Alabama. There was a video that was circulating around of this woman huffing and puffing while she was watching the college playoff announcement show. And I'm like, I'm trying to think, where has another major fan base ever done that? I mean, if you guys made the playoffs and you knew that you were going to face a very tough opponent, would you actually complain about it or say, "Hey, bring it on. I love my team, so let's do this."
Right, and I think Slim is right. I think every fan base has that sort of, fan where, something goes wrong and they just want to write off their favorite team, I'm
reading Slim's comments. He says, "Fan police alert. Here we go. If you don't fan how I fan, you're not a real fan." If you don't fan how I fan, you're okay. I don't know what he means by that, but
he's saying if you don't fan how I fan, then you're not a real fan.
Well, it's true. In this case, what I'm talking about is true. If you're just going to quit on your team before a game's even played, or let your home stadium get taken over by the opposing team's fans, or complain about making the playoffs, then no, you're not a true fan. In that part of it, you are not a true fan, and I have a right to call you out for it. And we've got a lot of fans in our fan base that are like this. I mean, the last video that Ben and I did, we actually have a guy, or we called out this one guy from a Notre Dame Facebook page, and this guy actually says that he hopes we lose against Ohio State just so we can come back and throw it in our face. I'm like, really? This is the stupid. I mean, really, the only thing that I've seen like this is like with you guys in Dog Nation. Everybody's giving shit still after winning the national championship to Stetson Bennett. I mean, this guy put up the numbers. He was a big piece of that national championship win, and people are still giving him crap. I mean,
I don't think it's necessarily giving him crap. I think it's more of the fact that maybe – that defense was very elite, one of the best defenses in the last at least 20 years. I would argue that case at least.
But isn't that the idea though to put some? It's a team game. That's the idea, is to make the best defense that you can, give your quarterback some weapons on offense. I mean, it's not just a quarterback game; it's a team game.
Right, and I definitely agree with you there. I was a Stetson Bennett hater, right before the national championship, but I do give Stetson Bennett his credit, and I've said that in a video. I give him his credit. Congratulations. But as far as that goes, I do have questions. Can he do the same thing this coming year like he did last year and not look. If we're down like 14-0, can he come back for his team and win the game?
And I hope he does, because he's gotten enough shit already. And, when your team wins a national championship, maybe that's where you should be like, okay, this guy's not half bad. And I'm not saying personally you, but no, I hope he is able to do it for you, because even though I'm not a Georgia fan, I felt for the kid hearing all the crap that he was getting. And so, no, I hope he does. But just going back to what I was saying, with our fan base and that kind of stuff that's going on, and that this isn't good enough, that's not good enough. We actually complain for making the playoffs. We let our stadium get taken over. And like I said, all the stupid excuses I've heard for that. I mean, I had one person tell me, oh, well, it's because the team has to show us something. I'm like, oh, really? So the team has to show you something just so you won't sell your ticket? Be a fan. Support your team unconditionally. I mean, you love your children unconditionally, don't you? Why would that not apply to your football team? But it's just like there's so many fans in our fan base that just have lost. They have basically they've just given up. And then so I'm like, why are you even watching the team? And if that's how you feel about them, I mean, believe me, I've lived through a lot of the bad times too, or where we've lost games pretty bad, and things weren't looking good. But I'm still here. I've still gone to games even after I knew the season was going to be a losing season. So I just don't get where. I mean, this behavior out of these Notre Dame fans. You do not see this in any other major fan base, any other major program's fan base. I've never seen this anywhere except the Notre Dame fan base. And the reason that I talk about this is because on YouTube, like the major Notre Dame shows that, I don't know if they're actually affiliated with the University of Notre Dame, but where they have former players on and whatnot joining them, like the Mike Goolsby show. All those big Notre Dame shows, I don't see them talking about this. I don't even see regular Notre Dame YouTubers talking about this. Myself and my co-host Ben on the Two Irish Brothers, we are the only ones that are talking about this problem, because it is a big problem that needs to be addressed. I mean, I can only wonder obviously Ohio State's on the road, but when Clemson comes to South Bend, are we going to see half that stadium orange and purple? Just because Notre Dame fans want to make a quick buck.
Right. And
let's see some actual freaking loyalty.
Right. And Mayhem Matthew in the comment section says Notre Dame has never beat Georgia.
Oh, so you're posting your own comments.
And Cornelian says go Dogs. But anyway,
that's true. You guys are 3-0 over us, and but I will say this: all three games have been pretty good ones.
Right. But any last words before we get off of here? We've been on here about an hour and 10 minutes, and this has been a great show in my opinion. Leave a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to give you the last words.
Well, just all I can say is if you don't mind, once this uploads, we'll look to post it on our channel and see if we can't give you a little promotion. All I can say is this. I know a lot of people hate Notre Dame, and I can understand why in some aspects, but don't underestimate us, because this is a team that has a lot of talent. Maybe by some people's standards, it's not elite, but the thing is, you can get a 3-star recruit. He obviously may not be a 5-star, but that's where coaches come in and you can coach him up to be a 5-star. But just it's going to be a fun season. I think we're going to be a lot better than what people are giving us credit for. And 3 weeks away, man, I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. And just thank you for having me on. I'm just, again, sorry that Ben couldn't be here for this.
Thank you, Fish.
Oh, sorry. One last thing I wanted to add. If any of you guys want to come to our show, it is the just search the Two Irish Brothers Show. Our logo is a shamrock that has a TIB in it. We're easy to find. So if you guys want to check us out, head on over to the Two Irish Brothers show, myself and Irish Benjamin 57. Yeah, we're a Notre Dame themed channel, but we'll talk just about pretty much about anything. I mean, we covered the USFL, if that tells you anything. But yeah, we're trying to grow the show over there. Hopefully, you'll get to a good point where we can do something real with it. So we would appreciate all the support we can get.
Yep. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And from a Dogs fan, I say go Dogs.
Go Irish.